And we're good. Amazing. Welcome back to the Coaches to the Moon podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very blessed to be here today with the elusive Jordan Debano. He is a speaker, he's a coach, he's a sales trainer, and from starting businesses at the tender age of 18, he's gone through to achieve amazing things, the winner of a 30 under 30 award, and he's here to help people to get out of their own way and basically sell themselves. So, mate, I haven't heard from you in a while, man. How are you? You feeling good?
I'm good, man. I've resurfaced from the nomad world, and I'm
Yeah.
back. I'm ready to go.
What have you been up to?
Man, I've been lying on beaches. I've been traveling the world, and this year was the first year that I resurfaced, and I decided, you know what, I'm ready to go. Let's start helping people sell some stuff.
That's amazing. So you've literally just been kind of just living that nomad dream. You've been working a little bit on your laptop. What have you been doing?
Yeah. I had a few like users, and I tried a few different things. I even went down the network marketing route, which was a fucking crock of shit. But anyway, it was a very experimental phase, and I was basically just burnt out from my sales agency. Needed
Mm.
time off, and I was lucky that I could actually do that. Um, and yeah, man, I traveled, I made some music, I sold some network marketing stuff, made a bit of cash. And when I got back, I'm just like, no, I'm ready to do this properly again. Let's rock and roll.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm really excited to kind of relaunch you back into the world with
Yeah.
this podcast and all of our 14 listeners. So very exciting stuff. Man, that's really cool. Network marketing, I get it and I like it. I've just never been very good at it. It's weird. I've always struggled to sell like, you know, $99 worth of product, but I don't find it that hard to sell $10,000 worth, why do you think that is?
Yeah. I think it's for two reasons. So first off, network marketing, man, it's like, that half the sales pitch, you're not trying to sell. Like,
Mm,
no, I'm just trying to share something. So you're like resisting the sales pitch. So it's like and for me, I've always been quite a structured guy when I'm selling something. Like I've got a process, I make it known that I'm selling something. And in network marketing, you just can't do that. Like it's like, no, I'm just sharing my experience. So a lot of the time I was like, this is crap. Like I don't even enjoy the sales process. This is a bunch of shit. Like, can't I just tell you I'm going to close you at the end of this at the end of this call? Can I tell you exactly how it's going to go? And it was more about me than it was about the customer, like my experience. And if you don't, I found if you don't buy into the process, not necessarily like believe, but if you don't buy into the model, you're screwed in network marketing. So that was like the first thing. I'm resisting the process, and second, I just didn't love the product enough, man. Like you got to
mm,
really be connected to what you're selling
yeah.
on some level.
Yeah, that's it. The people I've seen do best in network marketing are not people who are traditionally successful in business. They just love what they're using, and then that energy just flows out of them. Like, how can I
Yeah,
not love this as well? It's
yeah,
I've got one guy, we both know him, James Wellington, and he's
yes,
a
yeah,
he is just that guy can sell anything. He's one of the best salespeople I've ever worked with, and he did really, really well in network marketing, but then just moved into business, just did it in business, just whatever he puts his foot into,
he
crushes the
sells it.
game. But
Yeah,
outside of
yeah,
him, everyone I know who's crushing network marketing, they're just really passionate, and that's a
passionate.
cool thing. And maybe I just
Yeah.
didn't have that. Maybe I'm more passionate about my own products. So
Yeah,
interesting, man.
man. Yeah. I like for me, I'm a very like I've got my things that I love, but if I can't adapt to that. Like it's this, and if I'm a no, it's
Mm.
very hard for me to like connect. It's just like, no, fuck it. Like I don't want to do it. And throughout my travels, I think I was resisting my no. I'm like, oh no, but I need to make some cash. So I'm like, all right, sweet, I'll just fucking sell this stuff. And
Yeah,
never would I do that again. Like you really have to know when it's like, no, I'm not doing this, and when it's like a fuck yes, like I actually am in this project.
interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, being passionate about what you're selling, you think that's an important thing, right? Not just can you be a skilled closer and walk into any industry, or do you think you need to have some sort of connection to the service or the product?
Well, I think passionate's the wrong word, because when I train salespeople, they're like, how do I cultivate more passion? Like, you don't need to show your customer that you're passionate. Like, you need to be there to serve them. I think what the most important thing is that what you're doing is actually true for you. Like, it's on your heart. Like, you care about the business you're in. You care about the end result that your product actually generates. Like, this gets people all the time. They're like, oh, sometimes I just don't believe in what I'm selling. I go, what's the end result of it? Oh, this. Write it all down. How do you feel now? Oh, I'm feeling a lot better. It's like, well, don't worry about what it is. What's the end result? Now, I was selling a bunch of stuff that improved health, that improved your fucking energy and shit like that. I'm not really passionate about that end result. But when it comes to like increasing revenue and getting salespeople flowing better on scripts and sounding more natural and being connected to sales and being like, yeah, man, I actually really care about this career, mate, I could talk about that all day. Like, that's an end result that's really genuine to me. So I think, yes, a salesperson can have an off day, an entrepreneur can have an off day and feel shitty, but as long as they remember the end result that their business actually creates for the customer, that's what matters.
100%, man. Do you have a team now, or are you just flying solo for the time being?
Nah, I'm solo, man. I'm solo.
Yeah.
I've had a few people that used to listen to my podcast reach out and go, man, when can I sell for you? I'm like, dude, let me get some leads first. Like, I got to build up my business before you come in. But yeah, I do want to have a sales team again eventually.
Yeah. If only you knew a guy who brought in high quality leads for a living.
Only, man. Yeah. You've
I'll see if I
me.
can find someone.
Pitching me a few times.
Well, man, I'm passionate about the end result.
Yeah,
so,
no, it's good. But see, like, that's the thing, bro. Like, when you pitch me, I smile. I'm like, dude, this guy's good. He fucking cares. Like, I like this. And that's the thing. Like, so many people are like, oh, but I don't want to come across manipulative. And like, man, you're not going to come across that way if you're really in the end result of what it is you're selling. You're just not. It's not even going to cross your mind. Am I being manipulative? Am I being like a jerk? No, like, because you love what it is.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. I feel like back when I started selling things, high ticket things like 6 years ago, that sort of thing, we were often told, or the vibe was, you get on a phone call with someone and you don't even mention the fact that there's a product at the end or a service at the end. It's a discovery call or a strategy session or a clarity call. And it's, I just want to help you. Why are you doing this? Oh, because I care about you. I just want to help you. And it's like, the less smoke and mirrors I've had in my business, the easier everything's been. My sales process now is something that if I'd done it 5 years ago, I would have had zero sales ever, probably because I didn't have the confidence. But now it's literally have a chat with someone like yourself, send a proposal to look at. It used to be like, if someone's off the phone, they're gone forever. Send a proposal to look at. We'll catch up in 4 days for any feedback and questions you've got. And on that call, it's a yes or a no. And it's usually a yes by that point because they've read it and they wouldn't have read it otherwise. So it's just so different and such a longer, easier, more casual sales process than it used to be when it was like, are you in, you're out right now, and you close all these people and then is it going to be a yes or a no? And,
and it's dramatic. There could be like drums in the background.
Exactly. I used to be so good at that, like getting people all emotional and then closing them. And then the next day you get the flood of texts, like, the buyer's regret comes in and the freakouts happen. So how about yourself, man? We're both maturing. We've both got lovely beards now. And,
a few grays, bro. Getting some grays as well.
Me too. But we're wearing it well. It's all good. It's all good. All that time on the beach must have been difficult for you, I guess.
Yeah.
But how have you found your sort of style of selling has changed over the years? Because you started business when you were like 18. You had JD Coaching.
Yes.
That was actually let's go back to that first. Take us back to JD Coaching. That was your first business. You grew pretty fast. You were like 18 to what, 20, 24?
Yeah, man. Started while I was at university. So between lectures for my health science degree, exercise science degree, I was cold calling schools. I'm like, I've got a soccer program. Can I come and do it? It's like it was the worst pitch ever. I didn't know how to sell back then. So yeah, man, cold calling, got schools enrolled. Sometimes they'd pay up front, or sometimes they'd say, hey, you can market to our parents for free, and you just pay us a fee to use our ground or pitch, and yeah, you're good to go. So that was the whole sales process. And man, I had to learn how to cold call then. Like that's when people still answered cold calls.
Yeah.
And that was rough, bro. Just the receptionists at schools, like usually they're the old grandmas there, and they're just like they cop cold calls. So I had to learn how to handle that, and that was that. I think back then I used to rely on my energy a lot, like my rapport, being nice, being sweet, and all that kind of stuff with that audience, and that actually didn't work. I'd like to say that I had like these lines, but it never worked, man. It wasn't until my first sales mentor told me, Jordan, you need to have an offer. You need to have an offer. The cold call is about the offer. And that first business taught me that if I can create an offer that's really fucking sticky, this cold call is going to melt. It's going to burn through. It's going to cut through the gatekeeper. I'm going to find a way to do it. And I'll never forget it, man. In 1 week, when I nailed the offer and how I said it, after like 3 months of struggling, 5 schools came on board in a week. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Cold calling's amazing. And then, I got really passionate about it afterwards and what have you. But yeah, so it was, I relied a lot on my energy back in the day, but over time I started to become more structure focused. And yeah, man, sorry. So the question was about JD coaching, yeah?
It wasn't really a question. I was
Yeah.
what I was curious about was, you started that business young, and it would have been messy, because you were young.
Messy, man.
And it sounds like you figured a few things out. I was going to basically ask you what did you learn in that first business so young that you've actually been able to take through all your existing businesses. But it sounds like having a quote sticky offer. What's a sticky offer, Jordan?
Sticky offer.
Yeah.
Sticky offer is something that people want. They genuinely want it. And you can deliver it in a very short and concise sentence. So what I used to say to schools would be like, do you have a soccer program? No, we don't. Cool. I am offering 5 schools. So this is another thing as I'm saying it. You want to make it a little scarce, but you got to be genuine. Don't just make it up. I'm offering 5 schools this week a free full day soccer program. Okay, so it's like one sentence. I don't want anything in return. I'm getting my name out there. So you provide a reason why you're doing it. I don't want anything in return. I just want to get my name out there and ensure that my program actually works. Okay. They all said yes. And at the end of that day, I go to the principal's office. Now, the principal, of course, they're gonna welcome me in after I do a full day of free training. And it was easy. They're like, oh my God, I could hear the kids. They were loving it. I even came out and watched. I don't know if you saw. Yeah, man, it was a good day. So tell me about what you do. Bang, easy. So you want to be genuine that it is scarce. Don't bullshit that it's scarce when it's not. You got to make sure you're genuine. And you want to make sure what you're saying is in a short space, short sentence, and tell people why you're doing it. And you don't need to, what I found is you actually don't need to make it bigger. You just need to make it more concise, especially in cold calling.
Yes, 100%. I had this conversation with a lady yesterday where I was about to pitch one of my coaching programs because we have 2 levels of leads come into our business, those who are qualified to have us do their ads for them, and those who aren't there yet, and they shouldn't pay someone, but maybe it'd be great for them. So we kind of teach people, take them through a process.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we get people super green. And this lady I said, who do you help and how do you help them?
Mm.
And 5 minutes later, I still hadn't really figured it out. So I said, you need
Yeah.
to take that and put it into one sentence, like Jordan just did. You need to have,
Yeah.
we help coaches and consultants create a predictable lead gen system with social media ads. Okay, makes sense, right? You can say that in one sentence.
Yeah.
Jordan has back in the day, JD Coaching had a free 1 day soccer program for 5 schools.
5 schools.
Okay,
That's it.
I get
That's
it.
it.
I understand. So let's jump into that. There's a lot of coaches starting out, right? And what we see in the coaching industry, everyone's done so many courses, so much personal development, worked on themselves. They end up with a bunch of different modalities they can train people in. Maybe it's they're trained in as a PT, but they
Yep.
can also do NLP. They can also do life coaching. They can also do hypno, breath work, meditation, all these things.
Yeah.
And when they say that, and you say, oh, who do you help? Oh, I can pretty much help everyone. So if someone's in that boat, which a lot of people are, where they've got a very broad range of talents and no real niche or demographic, how would you help that person to hone in on an offer that is concise and, as you said, sticky?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've changed my opinion on it this year. The first thing is like, does it work? Can you? We've all got to get honest with ourselves. Where are we? Okay, I know breath work too. I know meditation. I know sales. I know I've been trained in the DeMartini method. But if I got very honest and said, all right, had this conversation with myself, Jordan, what are you actually best at? What can you deliver results in? Sales. It's not even a question. So you want to start with that, because I think the whole like, what am I most passionate about? We can get a bit out of service, a bit self-centered and ego-driven. So it's like, no. If I got honest, what do I get results in? Sales. Great. Then I think the next step is like, what's true for me in sales. So back in the day, it was very much about scripts and processes. That's what we would either do that for people and deliver, or we'd create it and send it off. Kind of what you said with people that aren't ready for your agency, you help them do it themselves. So we did that too. But that's not really true for me to do that anymore. I've done it. So it's still sales. But what kept coming up for me with clients that came, I could see it happening, is they wanted to learn the intangibles of selling, like the mindset, the psychology, the communication skills that put scripts on steroids. That's what I like to say. You got a script, you don't just want to read from it, you want to put it on steroids and become an elite salesperson. Okay. That's what I do now. So it just evolved. So I'd say like niche down on what you can deliver in, but then just look at what's going on around you. Like what keeps coming up? Like your customers telling you'll come up with 1,000 things, but your customers will tell you a thing, and it's like, shit, that's there for a reason. It's not coming up just because it's coming up. If 10 clients have said it, then that's your next step.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think the problem is at that point, a lot of people don't have 10 clients to gauge off. They're starting out for the first time, but that's where you have to figure it out with a bit of trial and error, like you did for your first 3 months of JD coaching. When I ran my first health coaching program, I was all about creating longevity in people's lives. I was like, there's so many 12 kilos in 12 weeks, belly blast programs out there. I can't deliver that. What I can do is teach people to actually create skills and knowledge that means they and their families can eat healthily forever. And turns out no one wanted that. Turns out that's a real case of what you need, not what you want. And so I had to bring people in with a bit more of a, fast and furious fitness mindset, but then, interlay those skills into it and change their mindset throughout the process. And mindset's the word I want to focus on now, because you said a beautiful thing that you've moved from the tangible side of selling, the scripts, structure, to the mindset, the psychology of sales. And something I've seen you mention is emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Why is emotional intelligence so important when it comes to sales?
Okay. All right. Let me break this down. I'm going to get very I've had this sales training program I wanted to create all year, and I've just documented it. Like, it's all there. It's like 200 pages long. It's fucking epic. It's so good. It's independent closes 2.0. It's so good. Anyway, so there's something I speak about in it: emotional intelligence. Okay, so you got three things going on in every sales call: your emotions, the client's emotions, and the truth. You got it all happening, right? Your emotions, I call it like the internal sales script. So you'll see how you'll see your product, the outcome of your product, and the client in a particular way. Most of the time, you don't want to pay attention to that, because as soon as you bring your internal sales scripts about what's going on in the deal to the deal, you're screwed, because you're out of service. You're yourself. You're trying to get your client to believe you. You're trying to prove yourself, sound all convincing and shit, and it just screws it up. So it's like, first off, emotional intelligence is about owning your feelings and going, I'm scared of being rejected. I have a money thing. I don't think I can charge that much, but not react. It's all normal. I just teach people, like, just own it, man. Like, you're allowed to shit yourself on a call, and you're allowed to be excited about it, but don't act from it. Okay. Then you turn to what really matters: your client's emotions. Because if you can be aware of that, then you've got to really focus on what matters: your client's emotions. Now, your clients are going to have past stuff with other salespeople, so how they see you, past experiences with a product like yours. They're going to have feelings about that. And they're also going to have feelings about the outcome that they want. Can I get it? Does it work? I've given up. I've tried it before. I don't think I can actually make 50 grand a month, 10 grand, whatever your thing is, or lose the weight. You have to put your attention there, because if you can't pick up what's going on for them, i.e. what they're not saying to you, like they'll say a bunch of like words, but most of the time there's shit there that they're not telling you, right? And the truth is what they're not telling you. So this is what I teach. Like, if you can be smart enough to go, my feelings aren't involved, I can hear what's going on for them, but I'm going to direct them to the truth, i.e. what they really want, what the real pain point is, you have mastered emotional intelligence in sales. So it's like this big triangle. Get it off you, focus on them, and then lead your client to the truth. What is the actual pain point? And expand what they want. Really get them clear on that. And when that happens, your authority, your level of influence in that deal just goes up, and your emotions haven't sabotaged it in any way.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, especially if you're in a situation when you're a young coach starting out or in business, and you kind of need the sale. That's a rough emotion, right?
Yeah.
I tell a story a fair bit about how I was about 2 years into my coaching, and I kind of figured it out, and I was making regular sales on the phone, and I was doing fine, making a small living off of it. And in the weeks up towards our wedding, I don't know if you've ever planned a wedding, Jordan, but it's a nightmare. And you've got you've got your mother-in-law and your wife texting you non-stop with like, what about these pink Moscato bottles, that sort of thing. And do you think we should get ginger in the biscuits?
Yeah, because that's really important.
It's massive. It's make or break. And so I was getting really stressed. We were like 2 weeks before it, and for some reason, like, I must have been stressed in my life, and I started getting hung up on in every sales call I did. Like, people started hanging up on me in my close moments, because some stress was coming out. Internal emotions were like trying to do things and move past things. I was distracted, and I went from doing quite well to actually getting physically hung up on, not closing, which hadn't happened to me in months. And I sat down, I was like, what is going on here? So we actually, we closed the computer, and we took a day off, and we went out and my wife and I went and got drunk, and we came back a bit more. Yeah. We came back refreshed and got back into it for a week or so. But it was very interesting for me, man. How my external or internal sales script was hugely affecting the way my prospects felt on the phone.
Oh, dude, it's huge, right? And we'll have it come up a lot with a particular client that will show up in our leads that will trigger that stuff. So for me, to give you an example, I would always sell really well to younger or older women, but as soon as like a older man that was successful in business got on the phone, I would shit myself. And I had this script like, shit, they make more money than me. Oh my God, like they're going to think I'm a inexperienced and a loser and I can't sell and they're probably a master at persuasion, all this stuff. And it's like, fuck. And it used to just tear my agency apart. Because when I got into the agency, I couldn't just sell to one avatar. I had freaking 10 avatars sometimes going on. So I had to learn. It's not about you, Jordan. They just want to know, like, is this going to help them? And particularly those guys, you've got 30 minutes max with those dudes. They're not going to sit around for you to build up their emotions. They want to know, and they want to feel that you know that it's going to help them too.
Yeah, man, that's super interesting. I actually changed my initial niche from men to women for the exact same reason. Like when I was first health coaching, I was like, these men aren't going to listen to me. But turns out they probably would have if I just, believed in myself, got out of my own way, as you say. So, okay, I want to dig into emotion a little more because we spoke before about, the big dramatic sale where you get someone, oh, I had this person crying on the phone and then I gave them a solution and they signed up. And then the next day they realize what they've done and they've freaked out and send you a text and pull out or ghost you and never pay. So he talks about, learning about being emotionally intelligent with your prospect, whoever you're talking to, talking about their pains, offering them a solution. How do you balance between getting them feeling the emotion and the excitement and not taking them too far so the next day they have that buyer's remorse because they've made that decision in a really emotional place?
Yeah, I so there's two oh God, frames are a whole different conversation, but there's two frames you can sell from: creating a need or exposing a need. Now, very different. If I'm creating a need, I am digging, asking questions for the sole intention to bring up a pain that I can attack, right? And the client will usually be aware of that pain. And it feels quite forced. And usually because this is all happening, they get quite emotional when they finally like give you the thing, right? But exposing a need is different. Exposing a need, you're relaxed, you're asking questions, and you're curious. And what happens is you take your clients or your potential clients from like conscious problems and goals, so like what they're conscious of, to what they're not conscious of. So usually this would look like, okay, let's do an analysis on your business. This is me on the phone with a business I'm selling sales training to. Great. So you said you have a challenge with your appointments. Your appointments aren't showing up, right? Sales team appointments not showing up. Okay, cool. What's your show rate? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't track it. But you have a show rate problem. You sure about that? Like how do you know? Oh, well, my people keep telling me. Well, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it sounds like we have no data to prove that. Right. Okay. What's your close rate right now? How many calls does it take to close one deal? I think 5. You think? You can see this is relaxed. I'm talking to whoever this is. John Smith, I think your main problem is you don't know what your problem is. Fuck. You're right, Jordan. When you get them to say that, fuck emotions and thoughts and feelings about stuff, you've given them the truth. Conscious to unconscious. I don't know my problem. I'm not tracking it. Why aren't you tracking it? Then we start really getting into, and I'm sure you see this with your agency too, Alex. It's like, if you just are relaxed and curious, you'll take them from what they're conscious of to unconscious, and then that's when you have a bit of emotion, you have logic, but that the truth, it resonates. They're like, that's my real issue, shit, and Alex has just exposed it. I think I should work with them.
You just expose people.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's in a
yeah,
nice way. Help them
yeah.
to become aware.
To help them, of course, like
Yeah,
not because you want them to cry or something on the phone,
yeah.
but when you're creating a need, they can feel it. You're fishing. You're like, so what are your biggest challenges, and how? Why do you feel that way? And you got that tone where you're lifted, and they know what you're doing. But
Mm,
when you're exposing, you're just guiding them through, and whatever comes up, comes up. I find the most powerful way to do this is you be okay if no problems show up. Just be okay with it. Who cares? There's no problem. Maybe they'll then. Sometimes I like, if they're not being honest with me. Sometimes I literally just say, "Well, hey, Alex, sounds like there's nothing wrong." I'm just, oh, well, I wouldn't say that. Well, why wouldn't you say that? You just told. Oh, well, I've got a feeling. Okay, well, let's talk about that. They're leading me because I don't care. It's like, all right, you don't have a problem. No, but I do. Well, okay, tell me about it. So, but when I want to get the emotions up, they shut down.
mm, yes, yeah, that's interesting. They see it. People are smart, right? They see what you're doing. They know when they're, especially if they're in business, they know when they're being sold to rather than when you're having a
Yes,
conversation with them.
yes.
That's really funny. It sounds like you don't have a problem. Oh no, I do. Okay, what is it? This happened to me yesterday on another call. This lady called me and she's telling me about her business and she's got all this stuff. She's like, "Oh, we've got these Facebook ads that are doing really well. We've got these lead magnets. We've built these landing pages, and we've already done our email sequence." And I was like, "Joanne, why do you need me?" and
Yes,
and
yes.
she goes, "Well, here's why we need you." And that answer, was amazing. That wasn't me trying to sell. It was literally just like, "Why are we on the phone right now? You booked in with me. I didn't call you." So that was
That's
super
easy,
interesting.
right?
Mm, yeah, yeah.
You just get to the thing. You cut to the chase.
Making
I
things easy.
want
Go
I
ahead.
want to share one more story because this gets incredibly powerful in objection handling.
Okay.
Very, very powerful. Um, so speaking about how I used to sell, I used to have this very complicated way of handling objections. Like I'd loop, run rings around them, and it would it would work. Don't get me wrong, but it's that same thing. They'd back out after because I just wore them down. And when I got into the agency, I knew I need to get better at this. And what I figured out with objections is that it's up to you to be able to do the same thing that you do when you're qualifying someone. Like, you just need to get to the truth. And I found that by being curious and just focusing on exposing the actual objection was super powerful, right? So this happened with price and partner, and everybody knows the framework. Okay, you can't afford it, all right, and you slowly break it down. But this happens also. This can work when you get like a objection that comes out of nowhere on like a cold call. I'm not interested, or la la la, or you're in the middle of a sales call and they go, oh, like, I think I need to go, or the most random of things. I'll never forget this call. It happened to me like at the start. I don't know why it happened, but I handled it, right? So I'm on this call with this lady who was very excited on the discovery call about everything. And she's done a backflip, opens the call. I literally go, hey, Karen, it's Jordan here. Jordan, I got to be honest with you. First words out of her mouth. Jordan, I got to be honest with you. I don't trust you. Starting the sales call with that after being so revved up on the discovery call. She's got a backflip, right? And I didn't rev her up on the discovery call, but she's done a backflip. So I'm thinking, shit. And I'm there, Alex, and I've got my sales team there, and they can hear it. I'm like, fuck. I'm Jordan. I can't lose here. And I said, you don't trust me? No, I don't. I've read reviews about the client of mine, and I'm really, really worried. Alex, do not ask me how I thought of these words to say next, but it was just pure instinct. I was like, it's too early for me to try and handle this, so I'm just going to be curious about what will come up. I said, well, Karen, after reading that, I wouldn't trust me either. And I just, like, really, I said, the only thing you can trust, this call goes, it'll be up to you at the end anyway. All right, let's see how the call goes. And I was like, fucking fascinating. Made her curious about the call. So it's like, I didn't handle the, sometimes being curious can get you past handling an objection. It's just like, oh, I don't know. I'm not going to give you the price. Like, it's like someone says at the start of the call, we charge heaps of things. I don't know what I'm going to charge you though. I haven't spoken yet, but fuck, like, let's see how we go. And I can tell you what I'll charge you at the end. All right, okay. But if we get into this mode, oh, it's an objection, I've got to handle it. You lose yourself,
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very funny, man. That's a massive sort of state break, isn't it? Just saying, I wouldn't trust me either.
Yeah. And it still to this day, it was the most crazy sales call that I've been on. She ended up signing up, and I was just like, where the fuck did that come from? And it was being in a curious mode. So I think what I'm also trying to say here is you will come up with genius things to say when you're out of your head and you're just curious. You will literally say things and you go, fuck, man, I'm good at this.
You know what? I remember watching you doing a Facebook Live like 5 years ago, talking about sales. And you're talking about if you get a bit of animosity on the call from someone and someone's like getting angry at you or basically just pushing back. And you like, when that happens, I would say to someone, dude, why are you so down? What's up? And just, I can't, me being on the phone can't be making you this angry. What's up? And I just thought that was genius. Just like you didn't try to handle anything. You didn't. It was just a getting back into curious and just seeing what's the problem. And I'd imagine you still stand by that sort of sentiment today.
Oh man, 100%. It's uncomfortable. This is why people don't do it, Alex. Because as I'm going to bring it back to the frames that sales are taught. I need to create the deal versus I just need to expose what's going to make the deal go ahead. We don't create the deal. We just expose what is. So when I'm on a call, I remember I'm speaking to a human being that has feelings, that has thoughts, that's had a day before they've come on this call. I got to be present with that. So yeah, man, like if someone's angry, I just go, man, Jesus. Like, let's just hold the phone for a second. You good? Oh yeah. Snaps it out of it. They're like, yeah. Oh, you can just hear. We don't have to talk about the program. Like, you sure you're okay? I promise, Jordan. It's like that. It starts them in. Usually, they're not going to come out and give you a big fucking attack or something. It's the human element that you bring to sales that really lets the person know the pro here.
Yeah. And you are a pro, Jordan. You're a bloody pro. And I've just realized we've been minutes already. Wow. And I could keep this going for hours, but I can't today. And you probably can't. But we need to do this again. We need to do some joint stuff together, man. Like some conversations like this a lot more.
Definitely do, man. You with the leads on the front end and sales on the back end, 1,000%, man.
Dangerous.
Very
dangerous, man. Jordan, before we go, can you sell me this pen?
Do you need a pen?
No, I got a pen. I'm all good, man.
You got a pen.
I'm just joking. I've seen poor old Jordan Belfort. Like, he must get asked that question every day of his life, and he's come up with something original. The interviewer would be like, "Oh, I'm genius. I'm going to ask him the question from the movie." How funny is that?
Yeah.
Poor fella.
Yeah.
You see it all the time.
I reckon he would say, "Do you need a pen?" And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Well, I'm not going to say you the pen." Something like that.
Yeah, I don't need to sell you a pen. Yeah, man. No, I just realized your name's Jordan as well. How interesting. There you go, man. Mr. Debano, like, as I just said, I completely cannot believe we've been going for 40 minutes already. But I've really, really enjoyed catching up with you, bro. And let's not make this the last time we speak for the next 4 years, yeah?
Likewise, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
We're going to put all your links, all your socials in, all the clips from this podcast. I'm going to get people, directed towards you and all the cool new stuff you're doing. I'm fascinated by it, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. So well done, man. You're looking great. I'm glad you're happy and you're back and everything's going well.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me on, and for everyone who listened.
Love you to bits, man. And he's right to anyone who's listening right now or watching on the recording. Thank you so much. We love you to bits. I'll be back next week with another episode of Coaches to the Moon. Until then, thanks for listening. Much love and peace out.